Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 15 of season 6 of our F124 Haas Driver Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache for the Brazilian Grand Prix. 2 races to go of the campaign and I don't think it could be much more dramatic than it currently is at the top of the table. We have a 1-point lead over Charles Leclerc after our decent recovery drive in Singapore last time out. Oscar Piastri is just 9 points off the top of the championship. George Russell is 18 points back, and Fernando Alonso, well, him this weekend, he just needs to beat me in this Grand Prix if he wants to try and keep his title hopes alive. We could end up with a 5-way scrap as we head to Vegas next weekend, and of course, as we all know, anything can happen in Las Vegas inside F124. I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody for the continued support on this series, throughout F1's winter break, and of course as well, if this season you've been enjoying it and you want to help support us, you can click the join button down below. For just £1 a month, you get early access to all of the videos that go live on the channel, as well as a few other different perks as well. So obviously, yeah, if we've got a championship decider, which we should be in as we head to Las Vegas next weekend, then yeah, if you click that join button, you'll get access to it early as well there. But we've got a sprint weekend here. Brazil is a really, really tough track inside F124, so I think the goal for us will be as lose as few points as we can to Charles and Oscar overall this weekend, but it could be anybody's race.
Atmospheric tracks don't come much better than this. We're in Brazil for qualifying. Let's get some laps at the limit.
Well, we have struggled so much around this venue inside F124, especially over one lap. The AI just very, very confident here, so yeah, this circuit I must admit I'm a little bit nervous for. I couldn't not feature it though in the calendar. Brazil is such an iconic venue, but obviously sadly you gotta scrap so many races towards the end of the year if I wanted it to be the season finale as well. So, whoa, a little bit of a moment as we made our way down to the bottom of the Esquido de Lago. Of course, as always, I kind of have to make the car a little bit kind of OP through Sector 2. We know we'll lose time in Sector 1 and Sector 3, but it's the best way for me to be competitive around this venue, as Max Verstappen, of course, out of the World Championship fight already. I think for the first time inside this game, he's been knocked out of it with more than just a couple of races to go of the season, and especially when you factor in the sprint. Really has not been his season. There was a bit of a wobble through the penultimate corner as well, so as we try and make our way back around towards the start-finish line, we're going to be right down towards the bottom of the order here. Another disastrous qualifying session. Russell will take pole. We will line up 19th. Well, there we go then. Clearly the car has got pace here, because Pierre Gasly will line up P6 on the grid, right alongside our main championship rivals of Leclerc and Oscar Piastri. Admittedly, I mean, we were 8 tenths off the pace, which is still far more than it should have been, but not that much in the grand scheme of things. Luckily, it's only the sprint, so there's not that many points available, but we're just going to have to use it, it feels like every season, as data ready for the main event.
Try to put the starting position out of your mind and just focus on the race ahead. We can still do a good job here today.
Well, yeah, as we said, I think we could just about maybe scrape back to points if, if things go perfectly in the sprint race here, but it is going to be used more for data ready for the main event. Lining up on a set of the softs like everybody else, I can't afford to lose time early on. It's 5 red lights. And it's going to be lights out, and away we go then for the Brazilian GP sprint race there. Albon doing very well, so does Zhou Guanyu. As we try and find some real estate in towards Turn 1. Just try and keep it clean and tidy there through that first corner, as you can see 3 wide just in front of me. Zhou Guanyu there, of course, signed, or re-signed even, I should say, with Ferrari towards, well, about midway through last week, wasn't it now? So it'll be interesting to see if we ever see him back behind the wheel of a Formula 1 car that isn't showruns in Shanghai, and that kind of thing.
Let's try and move forward.
I still genuinely believe Zhou Guanyu would make quite a good world endurance driver. So maybe he could end up in the Ferrari hypercar program, or at some point there, but a little bit of an audacious dive bomb. We've got to try and go for it though on lap 1. We've got to take these opportunities where we can, as Russell holding on to the lead ahead of Verstappen. Of course, yeah, Max not in the title fight anymore, so he's just here try and win races towards the end of the campaign. Really has been a difficult year for Red Bull. Of course, just have not given the Dutchman the car he needed, or had any reliability as well. That was one of the things that kept him in the fight right towards the very end of last season. But ultimately, yeah, hasn't happened this time round. But we've gained 4 places even on lap 1. That's not bad progress. Well, looking up and down the order then, I think Charles Leclerc had a bit of a bad start as well. No, sorry, that must have been Oscar Piastri. I'm so used to Leclerc still being at Ferrari. It really does throw me off inside this game. But, yeah, Perez there trying to get the elbows out through turn 1. We would just like stay alongside him through the exit of the Senna S, as in there. It's Oscar Piastri that's dropped back. Charles Leclerc, I think, has actually stayed exactly where he was come the end of qualifying. So not a lot of movement towards the front of the order early on. But that works quite nicely for me, because hopefully it means they're not getting away. Oh, Ricciardo, a bit of a lock-up down in turn 1. That'll potentially allow a move for Ollie Behrman. You just see there waiting in the wings. Can we try and get a run on the exit of the corner? Oh, Ricciardo gave us a big old squeeze there as we tried to go down the middle. We will go through. Behrman will just like follow me, I think, in the end. So we've got yellow flags out further back. I think that's a Sauber breaking down at the rear of the field. But yeah, that all got a little bit close for comfort early on in this race. I believe, yeah, that might be Zhou Guanyu then out of the Brazilian Grand Prix. But we are almost up to the top 10 then, as it is Zhou that's first out. Well, no idea what's going on through this middle sector right now, but I think Pierre Gasly has started to lose a few more places there as Leclerc now. He seems to be at the head of this train, so I don't know whether he's struggling for performance or has got some kind of other issue going on. But our top 4 then have absolutely bolted away, and that does include Russell and Alonso in the championship. Though I think Fittipaldi is up at the P2 then, unless I've got my Ferraris muddled up early on. And Oscar Piastri actually had a lightning start in this sprint race here. But you can just see they're battling almost 3 wide up at the front of this train. Everybody else has kind of got to sit and wait their turn. But yeah, Gasly, I think he's just starting to struggle there as Leclerc's lost... no, sorry, that's Oscar Piastri, isn't it? So Norris, I think, has moved up and broken free just a little bit. But Leclerc is under a lot of pressure here. Here we go. Leclerc versus Oscar Piastri. And Oscar's made the move happen down the hill there. So we're going to try and see if we can get a run on Hamilton up the other side as well. The honorary Brazilian on our grid. Don't run wide there. I did that last season at the start of the sprint. Get to the inside, though. A bit of a dive bomb. But we are making progress there as Leclerc is really struggling. Well, this Ferrari power unit is good in top-end speed, and Alpine power unit is, well, it's a power unit at the end of the day, not a particularly good one to really write home about there. But you can see Gasly and Lance Stroll now trying to make a move on Charles back in towards turn 1, so he must have some kind of issue with that car right now. As Stroll will go around the outside of him, we're going to try and follow the Canadian through, and this could be a battle for the points then here. Early enough in the day to the inside of Lance Stroll. He tries to give me a squeeze there. We just struggle a little bit with rear locking. Ocon's made his way through as well. Not too sure how that's all gone down. But we are up into the points, and Leclerc isn't. Well, on to the last lap then of this sprint race there. Lance Stroll tries he might, can't get close enough by the time we get down towards the bottom of the hill. But Enzo Fittipaldi, the crowd will be cheering him on this final lap. We had the joy of commentating over his first win back in Barcelona a few rounds ago, and since then Enzo Fittipaldi seems to be a bit of a changed man inside this game. Really does seem like he's building up some confidence and some momentum with that Ferrari team. He's got Fernando Alonso desperate to try and keep his World Championship hopes alive right behind him, but Enzo Fittipaldi does not care. Out of the final corner, it might only be a sprint, but I'm sure it'll still be special for him. Enzo Fittipaldi will win the sprint here in Brazil. What a story that is, as Norris has got some kind of issue. We come through for 8th. Well, I'm sure Enzo Fittipaldi will be very happy with that, but surely now he's got to have his eye on Grand Prix victory tomorrow there. The Brazilian will win here in Brazil, just ahead of Fernando Alonso and Max Verstappen there. Russell comes through for 4th, ahead of Oscar Piastri, Gasly, Norris and myself there, rounding out our top 8. So I'm pretty certain, apart from Leclerc and I, our top 5 in the championship order all finished in reverse here as we get to the end of the sprint. That now means Alonso, if I were to win, he would need to come second with fastest lap to keep his championship hopes alive there. We've doubled our lead over Charles Leclerc, admittedly only to 2 points, but he, Oscar Piastri, George Russell and Alonso all still with a shot as we head into the main event. Anything can happen here. We need to get a good qualifying. Well, I've made sure to adjust the tyre pressures as well, so hopefully we'll have less problems with overheating. But ultimately, yeah, the soft compound tyre is always the worst case scenario. That's definitely taken a little bit out of our braking performance, though very sloppy through the first couple of corners, and immediately then we are on the back foot throughout the rest of the lap. Obviously able to make up 11 places in the sprint race yesterday. There's no guarantee we'll be able to do the same again here, so I'd rather qualify a bit further up. I'd love to try and get ourselves comfortably inside the top 10 for this one, but yeah, Russell and Alonso, they know what they need to do here. Leclerc, Piastri and myself, a little less pressure on any of us right now. Russell and Norris just look so quick. That McLaren looks so composed over 1 lap pace inside this game as well. Well, I've remembered to up the tyre pressures as well as we head into real qualifying, so hopefully we're not going to have as many issues with overheating as we go through the rest of the weekend, but it will change the way the car handles just a little bit. You know, we have completely set this car up for race trim rather than qualifying pace here, but obviously I'm expecting George Russell, Lando, Norris to be very, very quick in that McLaren car. So many pole positions this season, but for us, I just want to try and make sure we're inside the top 10 and looking pretty comfortable as we head into the race. For Leclerc, Piastri and I, there's a little less pressure here as we head through the rest of the weekend. We know we should go to Vegas unless something crazy happens. Each still with a shot at the world title, but yeah, for Russell and Alonso, the goal is clear. They've just got to try and win the race and hope that Leclerc and I end up as far down the order as possible. 1 more corner to go, though. Don't struggle with the rear locking like we did in the sprint, but still a little bit hesitant as we try and get on the loud pedal on the exit there. It's still not going to be a particularly great qualifying effort here. Russell is going to claim pole position. We line up 70th. Well, there we go then. Russell will take pole position. Oscar Piastri in second ahead of Charles Leclerc. So Fernando Alonso might have his work cut out against those two for the rest of the weekend. But World Championship leader, we were admittedly a little bit closer to the top of our order, but I mean, quarter of a second away, we would have been 10th on the grid. That's just how tight qualifying is in this series right now. But again, Brazil will forever punish me.
Formula One returns to Interlagos once again with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his 3rd championship here in 2012, and in 2016, Max Verstappen treated us all to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. Interlagos, always a very special race here in Brazil, is a 2.7-mile circuit with 9 lefts and 6 rights for a total of 15 corners. The fastest lap today should have an average speed of around 135 miles per hour, if of course the weather stays dry until the end of the Grand Prix. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Oscar Piastri lines up on pole position, Charles Leclerc alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Norris, Stroll, Fittipaldi, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Russell, Ocon, Behrman, Iwasa, Perez, Firestarter, Verstappen, Albon, Vesti, Ricciardo and Zhou Guanyu. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway.
Mate, I really got the taste for that champagne last time out, so let's see if we can keep that momentum up and bring another bottle home.
Well, we could technically leave Brazil as world champion today, but I think that's going to require a bit of a miracle, especially now with Russell taking penalties, Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc, my main title rivals, locking out the front row of the grid today. Team want us to do a one-stop strategy, soft to medium. I'm much more likely... We did the alternate last year and it worked really well here. So I think we're going to try and do that again if we possibly can. But 36 laps ahead of us here from Interlagos. This is going to be a tough old race, especially when it looks like everybody has gone the same way. 5 red lights on the grid. And it's going to be lights out, and away we go. They're trying to avoid getting too much wheel spin on the initial launch. Max Verstappen will say thank you very much there, but we will immediately get back to his inside down at turn 1. Russell knows he's just got to try and keep it clean and tidy through the first couple of corners, as we will try and get up around the outside of a Yumo Asa there, following Sergio Perez off the exit of those first 2 corners. Down the Esquito del Lago will go. Just see they're a little bit hesitant around Ollie Behrman. This race can easily be lost on lap 1. Certainly will not be won on lap 1. As Perez trying to give me a big old squeeze up the hill. We try and go the long way around the Red Bull man. We'll certainly try it on. I think we've just about gone for it there. Awasa as well. Tries to look around the outside of the Mexican. Won't quite make it happen though. So again, had a pretty good start here as Oscar Piastri will still lead, but yeah, 3 of our top 5 in the World Championship in the top 3. So yeah, Pierre Gasly, he could really help us out here. If he could have a good race today, that would really do wonders for the team towards the end of the year. Of course, we're not in the Constructors fight, but there are still 4 teams battling it out in the Constructors World Championship, right at the top of the order. So there is still a lot to play for in the prize money category as well. It's Behrman under pressure. We try and get to the outside of turn 1, not quite able to there. Do not have the braking performance through those first couple of turns. Can we get the run down the Esquito del Lago on the Williams then? We've got to try and make moves, and we've got to try and make them pretty quickly here against some of these slower cars. Around the outside of our fellow Brit, and we're through. Here we go then, we may as well try and attack George Russell here. Back up in towards turn 1. Can we get around the outside of the McLaren man? No, we can't. Still go wheel to wheel though through turn 2 there. He tried to give me a bit of a squeeze over the curbing through that first corner, but round the outside on the exit of the Senna S. And again, we're almost back into the points very early on. Let's see then if we can get a run on Esteban Ocon just like we did in Saturday's sprint race. To the inside will go, oh, the Frenchman there, who wants to give me a big old squeeze in towards turn 1. We will aggressively cut across his nose on the exit, as he really did try and put me in a wall. But next up then, Yuki Tsunoda. Hilarious, isn't it? You think how many battles we've had with Tsunoda this year, and yet somehow I'm fighting for a World Championship and he definitely isn't. He, though, has definitely been a star this campaign. He's been so entertaining to watch him drive. Well, even with everybody stuck in a DRS train right now, the Alpine is definitely a car we can get a run on. So Tsunoda there, I thought he'd go for a move down the inside of Hamilton at that first corner, but unable to make it happen. Lewis might just be losing the DRS to those cars in front of him. No, he still has kept hold of that one then, so we're going to have to try and completely drain the battery pack down in towards turn 4 to the inside of Tsunoda though. And again, another clean and respectful battle between myself and Yuki, as Russell has made it past Ocon. I think the problem the AI have here with using the soft compound tyre in the real GP is obviously you're running so much more fuel early on that it really does cost you bags of time, especially with the wear. But if you take a look on a mini-map, Charles Leclerc absolutely romping away at the front of the order, so yeah, he's built up a little bit of a buffer as Piastri and Alonso battle behind him. So if Charles Leclerc obviously can win this, that'll give him a nice margin heading into Vegas. It's then kind of dependent on where we end up here. As you can see, Alonso trying to make a move on the Ferrari as well. Wheel to wheel they'll go, and Oscar forced to concede that place. Here we go then again, this time to the outside of Lando Norris. We've been making plenty of moves here, there and everywhere around this circuit so far today. So I wasn't actually expecting to get a run there on Fittipaldi. I don't think he was either. Well, I tried to give me a big old squeeze through 1, but we'll get around his outside through turn 2. Inside line on the exit there, and well, it was a very robust move against him, but I'm sure the Brazilian fans won't have enjoyed seeing it. But 2 places for the price of 1. Oh, we've got yellows, we've got yellows. Someone behind us is breaking down. Oh, that's, I think, the Williams of Behrman maybe out of the Grand Prix? Either Behrman or Alexander Albon. No, that might be an Alpine, sorry. Yeah, it is Tsunoda. just after I praised him, our first retirement of the afternoon. In many ways, I'm happy that it hasn't affected one of our championship protagonists. To the outside of Lance Stroll then. If I would be tempted, if Aston Martin offered to go there, if we win the World Championship this season, the only thing I'm scared about is the fact that I'd replace Alonso and not Lance, which I really don't want to do inside this game. But again, another... Oh, okay. No one's crashed, so I don't know what that's about. But that's going to really change this race. Someone has gone. It's a Ferrari Fittipaldi. Oh, man, that is gutting for Enzo then. It's also gutting for me, because it means we're going to have to try and mix up our strategy here. I mean, we've got to pit now, but we're going to have to go over to the hard compounded tyre, and more annoyingly, Pierre Gasly. We're going to lose out plenty of places as well, because obviously Gasly's car, he's going to obviously try and box before me. Or making our way then around and into the pit lane then, and after all the progress we've made up early on, a real shame that obviously we are going to get a little bit screwed over here. Make sure we don't get done for speeding on the way in. And yeah, I mean, Charles Leclerc there, he is going to get held up a little bit in the pit lane by everybody else trying to come through. We will hold up some other teams as well, though, obviously with this strategy. But what position are we going to come back out then here in Brazil? Everybody else is going to go to mediums to the end of the afternoon. We're going to have to bolt on the hards, and we will come out inside Lewis Hamilton, apparently. Well, Leclerc lost out big time as well in that safety car. He had a healthy little lead over Fernando Alonso. Oscar Piastri as well dropped down the order throughout that process. So as we go green flag racing then once again here, they try and time it on Lewis Hamilton, not quite able to particularly effectively. Just pulled alongside him at the wrong moment. So, yeah, these hard compound tyres, they are not going to be fun to be on for at least the next few laps. The mediums will comfortably make it to the checkered flag here. But 20 laps to go then here from Interlagos. Anything can still happen. And look at that, Alonso, he knows a win today. If he can get to Vegas with a chance at the title, a win here would make it a whole lot more possible. Well, Hamilton then now has lost the DRS to Lando Norris in front of him. So we need to make sure that we get past Lewis and get in the range of the McLaren car just up the road.
You smashed it. Really good job on hitting that target, mate.
Oh, someone's had a big lock-up in towards someone. That will not done their tyres any favours, but still, Leclerc is hanging on from from Fernando Alonso right now. This is a great battle, and, well, Leclerc wants his title hopes to be in the best shape possible. Alonso just wants to have title hopes here, as down the inside at the bottom of the Esquina de Largo, Alonso is through and back into championship competing territory. Well, the strategic element of this Grand Prix is really starting to come out towards the end of the afternoon, as we're going to have a look to the outside of Lando Norris, back up in towards turn 1. Pierre Gasly there still has not been able to make an impact against our top two, as Norris kind of wedged himself over that curbing on the inside of turn 1. The other one I'm trying to keep an eye out here is still George Russell. He's trying to battle with Hamilton and Stroll behind. If he can get ahead of those two, I think he will still be in title contention, as long as Leclerc or I don't win. There's a lot of mental maths going on right now. A lot can still change. Well, 4 laps to go here from Brazil. Alonso still tucked up behind Charles Leclerc. Is he going to be the one? Just wait for the very last lap to try and go for something. I mean, at the moment, I'm kind of in one mind going, I really hope they let me pass Pierre Gasly. On the other hand, I'm kind of there going, I don't really want to risk it and potentially kind of cost us both an opportunity against the top two, as there goes Alonso again to the outside of Charles Leclerc. It's always been the inside line that's worked so far. And again for Charles, he'll get the power down on the exit of the corner. Can see further behind, Russell is closing in on Sir Lance a lot, but I think Lance has just like got the DRS as well, and that is allowing him to defend. Oh, Alonso, he looks left, he looks right to the outside of Leclerc in towards turn 1. Can he keep the nose there? Yes, he can, but that might actually give Pierre Gasly in P3 a bit of an opportunity at a run now. Pierre, I mean, he certainly hasn't won a race with Haas so far this series, as there goes Alonso to the inside again. That has been the power move between our top two so far, and Alonso back through and back into the lead once more of the Grand Prix. Pierre Gasly, I mean, he's just watched this fight going on and on and on, but has not been able to get a look in against either of them up to this point. It does help us out though in the Constructors' Championship with Pierre this high up the order. It's still a very slim chance right now, but I believe with these two results, we might just mathematically keep ourselves in the Constructors' hunt towards the end of the year. But 2 laps to go then, here from Brazil. Has Charles Leclerc got enough to go up against Fernando Alonso once again? Has George Russell got enough to try and have a look past Lance Stroll there? Everybody now is tucked up in the DRS range of each other. We're just trying to save and use the battery at the most effective places there as Gasly, just tries to defend from us in towards turn 1. No! Tiniest bit of contact there between ourselves and Pierre, and that was a complete miscommunication.
It's going to cost us a little bit of time, but we're nearly at the end of the race.
Luckily, I don't think it will cost us too much by the end of this race. But yeah, it might just mean that I can't really attack anymore. Well, Fernando Alonso then, last time out in Singapore, he had to get the win to keep his title hopes alive. He had to defend from George Russell on that last lap. It looks like today it's a similar story once again. He has to win this race if he wants to stay in the title hunt. If Charles Leclerc wins it, I believe it is all over for Fernando by virtue of that fastest lap bonus point that Leclerc looks to be holding on to right now.
Don't worry about it. Get your head down and chin up. There's a long way to go.
Someone locked up in towards turn 1. I don't know who it was, but will Leclerc now be able to get a run on Fernando out of the first couple of corners? Alonso has surely got to try and defend that inside line. But here goes Leclerc to the inside. World Championship on the line. Alonso will try and hook it up the long way around. Again, Leclerc, though, will just about stay in front. No, he won't. Alonso tries to get back with him off of the corner there. Leclerc runs wide. We run wide. Lando Norris out of nowhere. Now up into P4 of the Grand Prix. And suddenly, the tables have turned on this last lap here. And like I said, I'm trying to do the maths in my head. I think this could be Alonso out of the World Championship. It's either going to be him 24 or 26 points back. I can't quite work it out, but through the final corner, a pivotal last lap for Charles Leclerc. He is going to win the Brazilian Grand Prix. In doing so, keeps his title hopes alive, will take the lead of the World Championship as well. Can we get back to Norris towards the line? No, we can't.
What a performance! He's left the field behind. Charles Leclerc wins it.
And what a drive today. Obviously keeps their championship hopes alive. And it's a warning sign, isn't it, for the rest of the competition. They're not going down without a fight. I loved what I saw out there today from them. And hopefully they can now get on a roll and continue this progression through the rest of the year.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team. And they certainly deserve it.
Well, there we go then for Charles Leclerc. That was a critical victory after a tough weekend here in Brazil. 26 points on the board is exactly what he needed and gives him a healthy boost heading into our season finale. Fernando Alonso in second ahead of Pierre Gasly, who gets a well-earned podium in P3. Norris ahead of myself. Oscar Piastri ahead of Stroll, who just hangs on ahead of Russell, with Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton rounding out our top 10 this weekend there. Perez misses out a very quiet weekend for what has been a very quiet season. But yeah, Enzo Fittipaldi and Yuki Tsunoda, the two guys that it felt like we battled with so much early on this season, both failing to see the checkered flag. What does that do, though, to our championship standings? Well, it means George Russell, it's over for the McLaren man. Fernando Alonso, he can still win it on countback, but he would require Charles Leclerc to fail to score, and he would have to win and get fastest lap to win the World Championship here. So technically, we have got a 4-way title fight heading into Las Vegas there. 14 points back, though, from Charles. It's going to require a bit of a miracle for us as well. But ultimately, yeah, of course, the man that we had such a fierce rivalry with down at our time at Ferrari. Only seems fair that now we've both gone our separate ways, that we are still fighting for the title. Oscar Piastri as well, he is also in a must-win situation as we head into Vegas as well. So I think all eyes are going to be on Charles and myself, but those two can still snatch it away, similar to what we saw from Sebastian Vettel all the way back in 2010. Those big points, though, actually help Pierre Gasly, though. He gets ahead of Sergio Perez in the World Championship as well. But I believe in the Constructors, though, Mercedes now with a healthy 13-point buffer at the top of the table there. McLaren with a further 13 over Aston Martin. 4 teams go into the last race of the year, all with a shot at the crown there. Annoyingly for us down at Haas, obviously by virtue of Leclerc winning the race and Norris getting back past me, sadly our constructors' dreams are done for this year there. But we're comfortably, I mean, we're pretty much guaranteed to finish P5 overall. We could still just get Ferrari if things ran perfectly in the finale. But yeah, as I mentioned in the intro though, of course, if you want to get early access to the season finale, make sure you hit that join button as well for just £1 a month. And yeah, you get access to it earlier than anybody else. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll be back very soon ready for the Las Vegas Grand Prix.